Hello, welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the NYXI RGB Joycons after using them as my main Switch controllers for the past week. After trying these NYXI controllers, these are by far the best I have tried so far, and I would say that they are almost perfect. So starting off with the build quality, they are made of a durable, hard plastic like you would expect to see in almost every controller on the market. Mine is the white color, which looks very aesthetically pleasing and sets it apart from standard black controllers. They also have a clear controller, or black if you want something that looks more standard, but I personally think the white controllers look the best and really give it a nice contrast to the black buttons. Especially if you have an OLED Switch or you want that OLED look, the white controllers kind of give it that look, even though in my case, mine is just a standard Switch. The top half of the controller has a fine matte texture, while the bottom half has a diamond pattern going on. Now this pattern doesn't really affect the grip or feel much different in the hand, and I'm pretty sure if they use the same pattern going all around the controller, it would still probably feel the same. The controllers feel very lightweight, even though they are much bigger than the standard Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and when I put them on the scale, it actually surprised me that the NYXI Joy-Cons weighed about 60 grams more, and that's because in the hand, to me at least, they feel almost exactly the same. No creaking when applying pressure on the controller, so overall, they are built well. All the buttons on the controller are very large and easy to press. They have great feedback and a lot more travel distance compared to your standard Switch buttons. As you guys know, the Nintendo buttons have very little travel distance and kind of have like that very instant clicky feeling, which I actually kind of like. The buttons on the NYXI feel much more like standard full-size controllers, which a lot more people might like. I personally prefer the buttons on the NYXI more, just because I find that it feels more satisfying to click. Now what's even better is that these controllers have extra buttons on the back. You have a paddle button which you can program using the M button up top, and you also have a T button which you can use to adjust settings on the controller as well as set turbo functions. Setting the turbo is actually super easy. You just hold the T button and press whatever other button you want on the controller, and that will automatically set it to that button. You can also set it so that it enables the turbo every time you press it, or you can have the turbo running automatically until you stop it. Now I personally haven't used the turbos as much as I used the two paddle buttons on the bottom, especially in FPS games or something like even Skyrim. Most of the time on controllers, you can't really jump and turn at the same time because you have to physically move the finger off of the joystick. But with the macro buttons, I can leave my thumb on the joystick the whole time, so I'm still in control of where I am looking when I jump. Just simple things like this make the macro buttons very useful in a lot of different games I tried. Now the greatest advantage the NYXI, or basically any other controller, has over the standard Joy-Cons are the actual joysticks. I was never really a fan of the joysticks on the Nintendo Joy-Cons because they felt too short and stubby, and that made FPS games a lot more difficult to play, or pretty much any game that requires more precise movement with the joysticks. These joysticks on the NYXI are excellent. They feel solid and responsive, and they have just like the right amount of resistance when tilting them. The feedback on the NYXI joysticks are really fantastic, and they feel pretty similar to my PS4 or even Xbox joysticks in terms of how responsive and how tight they feel. The design of the joystick is also very good, as it is concave and the perimeter of the joystick has this dotted design to prevent your thumbs from slipping. The design is great and I don't have any thumb slipping problems, but I have to say that the PS4 joysticks, or even the original Switch joysticks, give me a lot more grip on the thumbs, and that's entirely because the rubber on the PS4 and Nintendo joysticks are much softer compared to the NYXI joysticks, which are kind of made of a hard rubber. The harder rubber in the center of the joysticks feel almost as hard as plastic to me. So design of the joysticks are excellent, but I would like them even more if they were made of a more grippy rubber. And of course, these joysticks have RGB lighting. The lights give it a higher end look, especially with the white controllers, and it kind of transforms the entire look of the Switch into something more of what a Switch Pro would potentially look like. The lights can be set to different modes like static or breathing, but I just left it on static and set it on this rainbow kind of color, which looks amazing in person. Of course, if you don't really like RGB or you find them too bright, you can adjust the brightness on the controller, which is pretty neat. Now let's talk about the comfort, which is obviously going to be a huge factor when looking for a gaming controller. These are wireless controllers and they come with a center frame, so you can use them attached together like a Pro controller. You can hold them separately in each hand, or you can use them directly connected to the Switch in handheld mode. So the first setup would be having them connected to the plastic center frame. For me, this is perfectly usable and provides good comfort. I can play like this all day without any problems, and if you found the original Joy-Cons a little too cramped, this might be a better feeling setup. I feel less cramped than using the original Switch controllers, but there's also a slight downside, and that's mainly my back fingers. See, with a regular Pro controller, or even the original Nintendo Joy-Cons, the two handles on each side allow you to wrap your fingers around it for a snug feel. With the NYXIs, in this mode my fingers wrap around the straight edge on the back if I'm trying to hold it too tight. Now I could rest my fingers on the actual grips, but then at the same time I might accidentally click the paddle buttons. But overall, I had no problems playing in this mode, and comfort is good. When holding the Joy-Cons separately, I found this to be the least comfortable out of the three ways. Not to say that playing like this was uncomfortable, but when playing games like this, it's sometimes best just to hold a rectangular controller like the Nintendo Joy-Cons, or even something like the Wii remote back then. The NYXI controllers are still okay. I can definitely play holding them like this, but I sometimes feel like I don't have the best grip on them, or if I try to tighten the grip, then I end up pressing the paddle buttons. Now when playing like this, the motion control is still very smooth and responsive. They feel more sensitive than the regular Nintendo Joy-Cons, so you might need to adjust the sensitivity in some games. Now, what I found the Joy-Cons are best at are when you connect them directly to the Switch and use it in handheld mode. I found this provides the best grip and comfort when playing handheld, infinitely better than using standard Nintendo Joy-Cons. The Nintendo Joy-Cons were always small and didn't provide the best grip when playing in handheld mode, but with these I have a tight grip on the Switch and it just feels very comfortable. I also have a better hold on the Switch, so I don't have to worry about dropping it when I'm moving around. Using the NYXI Joy-Cons in this mode is definitely the best way to play out of the three. So what is it like to actually use these Joy-Cons on a daily basis? Like wireless strength, battery life, things like that. I can say that these are perfect for everyday use, and they have actually replaced my original Joy-Cons because with these I can do everything those Nintendo Joy-Cons can do, and they feel better in the hand. Wireless strength is great, I haven't experienced any issues with that. Battery life has also been very good with the advertised 8 hours of battery life. And what's really great, and something that really surprised me if you watch my unboxing video, is that you can actually turn on the Switch with these controllers. A lot of third-party controllers that I've tried don't turn on the Switch. With this, all you have to do is press the home button on the right and the photo button on the left, and these will turn on your Switch and be ready to go. You can also charge these very easily, just like with regular Joy-Cons. I never charged the Joy-Cons using the Type-C port on the bottom. I just left it on the Switch while docked, but I think it's still great that you have a second way to charge it just in case, one of them goes wrong. And also, these controllers are just feature packed. Along with the RGB, turbo modes, paddle buttons and all that, you can even adjust the sensitivity of the vibration motor, so they really thought of everything here. When I first used the controller, I found the vibration kind of annoying, just like I did with the YCC Team controller that I tested. These you can actually set the vibration, so I changed these to the lowest setting and then problem solved. One thing I should mention is that you might not be able to plug some things into the USB ports while your controllers are charging. I usually charge my headphones into the Switch dock, but I couldn't because the Joy-Con grips were blocking. And then also, depending on how big your travel case is, these controllers might not be able to fit. So after all that, this brings me to my conclusion. These are by far my favorite Switch controllers that I have tested so far, and I much prefer these to the original Switch Joy-Cons, or even something like the Hori Split Pad Pro. And these NYXI Joy-Cons are the main controllers that I've been using on my Switch because they are perfectly capable of being my only controllers for the Switch. I can charge them and use them like the regular Joy-Cons, and I can even turn on the Switch. For me, these are everything that the Nintendo Joy-Cons are, but better. Even some other products like the Hori Split Pad Pro, I feel don't quite compared with the NYXI ones, because those cannot be used wirelessly. And not only that, but they also drain the battery life of your Switch faster because they don't have their own batteries. The NYXI controllers just feel like the complete Joy-Con replacements, and you can even buy one of these for around the $40 to $50 compared to $70 to $80 for the Nintendo Joy-Cons. Even the Hori Split Pad Pros are currently being sold around $40 to $45, and in my opinion, just get the NYXI. Or say you guys ever experienced Joy-Con drift and you are looking for complete replacements, these are a great option. So that's my experience with the NYXI Joy-Cons. I highly recommend that you guys check these out. If you guys are looking for Joy-Con replacements, or even just an extra pair of Joy-Cons but don't want to buy the original ones, these are the best controllers that I've tried for the Switch so far. I will leave an affiliate link in the description if you guys want to check out their products, and if you use my link you also get an extra 10% off, so I think you can get one of these for like $45. So excellent controllers for that price. So that's it for this review. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.